Review, I chose The Talent Code. Greatness isn't born, it's grown. Here's how by New York Times bestselling author Daniel Coyle. Looking at the cover of this book, you see the gold medal icon and the quote from Tom Peters, "I'm willing to guarantee that you will not read a more important and useful book in this or any other year." The title of the corresponding audiobook is Talent Code, Unlocking the Secret of Skill in Sports, Art, Music, Math, and just about anything. Those are pretty big promises, and while I agree that this is a great book, I will show you that many of the principles Coyle covers are learning theories we have discussed in class. Coyle, a Little League baseball coach, set out on a world adventure to study talent hotbeds. His goal was to discover if there were commonalities that could be applied to other disciplines. These hotbeds included a Russian tennis club, the Texas vocal studio responsible for Britney Spears and Demi Lovato, Brazilian soccer clubs, female Korean golf champions, the Z-Boy skaters, KIPP schools, the Bronte sisters, and Meadowmount Summer Music Camp. So what traits do these places share? The first trait of a talent hotbed is deep practice. I particularly appreciated this quote. Deep practice is built on a paradox, struggling in certain targeted ways, operating at the edges of your ability where you make mistakes makes you smarter. You probably remember our class discussion on Gestalt theory, whole, part, whole. Coyle's first rule of deep practice is a slight variation on that idea. Chunk it up, absorb the whole thing, break it into chunks, and slow it down. The second rule of deep practice is repeat it. If you recall our myelin class discussion, pathways in our brain are strengthened by repeating a task or skill. The more we develop a skill circuit, the less we're aware that we're using it. Rule 3, learn to feel it, resembles Gordon's theory of audiation. In order for musicians to become fluent musically, they have to engage in the sound. To sum up the conversation on deep practice, Coyle describes the process of a baby learning to walk. The baby staggers, falls, and gets up again. They may be a little discouraged, but they keep trying. The staggering babies embody the deepest truth about deep practice. To get good, it's helpful to be willing or even enthusiastic about being bad. After defining the qualities of deep practice, Coyle then explored what circumstances were required to excite a person to push past discomfort and pain to achieve success. At some point, that baby had to decide they wanted to learn to walk. This is ignition. Ignition is a difficult concept to recreate because it is unique to the individual. Defining the requirements for igniting a talent hotbed creates even more difficulties. This felt like the weakest section of the book because there was no concise answer of how to ignite a hotbed. Perhaps the best summary of the ignition concept may be that people need to be able to see themselves as capable of achieving high performance skills before they can embark on pursuing those skills. Constructivist theory supports the notion that students require the assistance of a teacher or peer mentors. Master teachers share some traits. They have the ability to read a student and quickly design curriculum or exercises best suited for that student. If you remember Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, this is an area of learning that occurs when a person is assisted by a teacher or peer with a higher skill set. Master teachers tend to be older with 30 to 40 years teaching experience. They also spend some of their time focused on ignition. This is vital because building myelin requires immense energy and time. If you don't love it, you'll never work hard enough to be great. The stickers, candy, and certificate prizes given to young students do serve a purpose. To summarize, skills are built through repetition and deep practice. Students need to have some sort of ignition to begin their journey building myelin. Master teachers help a student on their journey to reach their full potential. This book is effective because of the stories used to depict the concepts. My favorite story is of Coyle's own Little League team in Alaska. After studying these talent hotbeds, the principles were applied to a group of 30 average boys with a history of spectacular failures. They didn't win the tournament, but they played well, won some games, and had some personal victories. The best part was, when the last game was over and the campsite was taken down, a few members of the team were still on the field playing pickup games in their uniforms. They would have played all night. These boys learned skills aided by master teachers and clearly had a spark of ignition that will carry them on to higher achievements. The Talent Code clarifies time-tested foundational principles through vivid stories. Easily digestible, readers can apply ideas on multiple levels. This book would be especially helpful for teachers and parents.